Number 21 is pretty confusing. You've got a lot of variables, you got a lot of things kind of going on. Plus, we're dealing with exponential equations, which, are just not, they don't come up often enough for us to be super confident in them like we are with something like lines. So what can we do to make more sense of this question? Well, the only real information that we're given here is that the y-intercept is at D. Well, narrow your focus, right? Narrow your focus to that idea. We know enough about y-intercepts that we can use one of our strategies here. A y-intercept always has an x-coordinate of 0. So now let's just plug points into equations. That's one of my favorite strategies. If we have a point, we can plug it into the equations. We had 4 equations from the choices, so my question I would ask myself is, can I come up with a point to plug into them? And sure enough, y-intercepts are points. So that means all of my x's are going to be 0. Let's see what happens here if we do that. For choice A, I'm just going to put y, right? Y equals h of x. So that's easier for my brain to understand. Y is equal to -3 times d to the 0. Well, d to the 0, anything to the 0 is 1, so this is just -3. Well, that has nothing to do with d, and plus, it's supposed to be positive, so that doesn't make any sense. B. Y is equal to 3 times 0 times d. Well, 3 times 0 times d is 0. Right? That doesn't work. So that's wrong. C, y is equal to d times -0 to the 3rd. Well, again, 0 to the 3rd, -0 doesn't matter. That's still 0. That doesn't work either. Let's try d. Hopefully this is right. Y is equal to d times 3 to the 0. Oh, there we go. 3 to the 0 is 1, so this is really just 3 times 1, which is, d times 1, which is d, what we expected it to be. So d is my answer here. Now, look, there are ways of getting this by just understanding the general format of exponential equations. If you did that, then you probably got this answer pretty confidently and a little bit more quickly. But for most of us, the problem with this question is that we don't understand how exponential equations work and things get weird. So this unweirds it for us. Instead of having the h of x, the d, and the x, we can get rid of one of those variables and try to understand it with just the d. And we could even, if we wanted to, have plugged in for d and arithmetized here and made that a number as well, but we didn't need to. So here, just having a point changes this entire thing for me because I'm not thinking conceptually anymore. That's why plugging points into equations is so helpful. It takes something abstract and makes it much more concrete for us because we have an actual number to work with. In this case, it's our favorite number for this kind of stuff, 0. So x-intercepts, y-intercepts, you want your brain to jump right to that conclusion that there's a 0 in those points, right? A 0 for x, any y-intercept, and for x-intercepts, it's the opposite. The y is always 0. Start with that, plug it in. You might find that things become much simpler very quickly.